And we are now joined by Shawn Hogan here on the Newsmaker Live Line. Shawn, are you taking hydroxychloroquine?
No, I'm not. And I don't plan on it.
Good morning. I wanted to start out with a political question before we get to the Hornell IDA questions. Elise Stefanik, and far more than Tom Reed, Congresswoman Elise Stefanik is pushing for a federal probe of Governor Andrew Cuomo's handling of nursing homes in this COVID-19 pandemic. And a lot of the conservatives have been hitting Cuomo hard on this. Your thoughts? Wanted to get your response.
Well, let me just, I watched an expose on PBS, the educational channel yesterday. If you remember, the outbreak of COVID-19 hit hard first in Kirkland, Washington, where I believe there's 72 deaths in nursing home, and that was way back in early March. And then it spread all over the country into Florida, Rhode Island, Massachusetts. So the problem with nursing homes isn't exclusive to New York State. So knowing Stefanik, who is a big supporter of President Trump's administration, this is just a politically motivated move. I mean, it's not something. It's horrible what's happened to nursing homes in New York State, here locally. It's just horrible, and I feel for the families, but they're the most vulnerable population, and it's not just germane to Hornell, or to New York State. So if she's promoting a federal investigation, that's to include every state, New Jersey, Florida, Washington, Georgia, where every incident where nursing homes were ravaged by this disease. So Elise Stefanik is just being a political hack for the Trump administration. Period. End of story.
Talking to Shawn Hogan. Shawn, on the IDA front, the Hornell Industrial Development Agency, how are things going there in terms of the COVID-19 relief that the Hornell IDA has been working with the local businesses to help out?
Well, during the height of this process, the local industrial development agency worked very hard. The staff worked very hard, and they had multiple Zoom meetings to review applications. And as you know, there was about $250,000 that was targeted, identified as repayment of HUD money that could be used for this economic development program, this loan program. And I believe there was over 30 applications received, and 22 businesses received loan assistance. And you have to remember, this is a loan. It's not a grant. For the first 90 days, it's interest-free, and after 90 days, then it converts to a 3-year, 36 months loan at 1% interest, which is, a very good interest rate, and I believe will help the many businesses that received it. Our only regret is that we didn't have more to help all that requested it. But also in the interim, I think some of these businesses may have received some help through not the PPP program, but through Emergency Assistance Program through SBA, which will help a lot of these businesses weather the storm and survive. One of the things that I'm most concerned about now is that Specialty Realty, the parent company of Gordman's, declared bankruptcy during this COVID crisis. And they have indicated that they, at least at last reading. I've tried to reach out to the landlord of our local store here at Gordon's. The guy's name is A.G. Helton, and he's from Yazoo City, Mississippi. Reach out to him to see if he's been notified about the future of Gordon's and Hornell. They have declared bankruptcy, and they were going to close upwards of 200 stores. Now, I don't know if that's changed, and they have 700 stores. So I'm trying to get more information, and I know Mayor Buckley is also concerned in reaching out in regards to Gordon's. That would be since our Gordon's was ranked very high as far as being a successful store in the Gordon's chains. We're hoping that it survives, but that is a concern, and we're monitoring it on a daily basis and trying to get all the information that we can.
Talking to Shawn Hogan from the Hornell IDA. Shawn, how are things going? You're in touch with people constantly. How are things going? I want to talk about employees of businesses and the owners of small businesses. When people, when I have on the state senators and the assemblymen and assemblywoman, in the case of Marjorie Burns, they all talk about the unemployment claims and the Department of Labor and how it's been tough for the Department of Labor to take care of all those claims. How are things going out there on that issue?
Well, I can only report. I'm not involved in the Labor Department and or unemployment insurance issues. I can only report what I read or hear. And I know, based upon what you see in the news reports, there are some glitches. And as I say, it's not just in New York State, it's all over the country, because the system has been overwhelmed. Let's just think of the numbers here. You have 36 million people unemployed. And now you have people who are eligible for assistance who were never eligible before, called the gig workers, or those people who are self-employed or were independent contractors. And so they're flooding the system because they are eligible for emergency unemployment assistance through the federal government. So yeah, there are glitches, and it is painful. There's some people that have not been able to get through. I know that they've hired in New York State. They went from 400 employees up to 3,100 employees to handle the volume. So I'm hoping they work through the glitches. Just today in the Democrat and Chronicle, there was a front page article about some of the problems, and there was an article actually yesterday too about some of the problems, interviewing some of the people that have had problems, not just in New York but throughout the country, trying to get through and trying to get an answer about their claims. Having worked in unemployment insurance for 10 years of my life, when I ran the local office here in Hornell for a period of time, it's a tough process, and it's hardest on the claimants, the people who are unemployed. No one enjoys being unemployed, and especially when they're not getting any check. So I'm confident that it would be these glitches will be worked out. The one thing is that they've guaranteed this money. I mean, if they're not getting it now, they will get everything retroactive once the glitches are worked out. I think they've made great strides. There are still some issues, but I think knowing that you're going to get the money retroactively doesn't pay the bills today. So, I have great empathy and compassion for those people, and we have to continue to make sure that their needs are met. And I'm sure that the any glitches or any problems will be worked out. And then again, you have to worry about fraud, Brian. There's been reported cases of where computer hackers from throughout the world, particularly they've identified now some in Nigeria and Ukraine and other places like that, have hijacked personal information, Social Security numbers, and they've been filing fraudulent claims on behalf of people who aren't unemployed. And so you have a tendency. Anytime there's money out there, and anytime that you've opened up the floodgates, so to speak, there are always some kind of sharpshooters out there.
Sure.
Whether they're offshore or onshore. So there has been a lot of fraudulent claims filed by people that have hijacked people's Social Security numbers from lists that have been stolen from insurance companies or from businesses and things of that nature, and then sold on the black market. So it's a nasty picture, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fraud, but that still doesn't make up for those people who are legitimately unemployed and deserve to get those benefits. And I'm sure that they will at some point, and we just have to, say a prayer for those people that these technical glitches get worked out.
Well, it's Shawn Hogan, who's been on the Newsmaker show with us. Shawn, I had one quick question for you. Brian O'Donovan from St. James just called in. So down to the last 60 seconds, Senator Gillibrand's having a Zoom conference tonight with, it says, New York State nurses. Do you know what that Zoom conference will be about?
No, I do not, but I assume it's probably has something to do with the next round of funding that they're trying to get through the federal government, through the Senate. The Congress has passed it where they have a significant amount of aid to hospitals and to frontline workers, and I'm sure it has something to do with that.
Okay. Shawn Hogan, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure, Brian. Have a great day.
That was Shawn Hogan from the Hornell IDA St. James Hospital. Coming up next, stay with us.
We're now Partners for Growth, like everyone's